Hi everybody, I'm here to talk to you about an important concept from the class, the writing process. This is one of the foundational concepts that it's important for you guys to know about from the very first week. So here we go. First, there's a number of ways you can think about writing. There's a number of different ways people have taught writing over the years. So here's the way that I teach it. I teach that writing is a process. So the key word here is process. Well, what is a process? Process is a set of steps you can use to get something done. So let's put the word process together with writing. Here's a definition. The writing process is steps you can follow for anything you write. The key word here, of course, is steps. So we're going to learn about 4 steps in a minute or two. But also notice these are steps that you can use for anything you write, whether it's a Christmas card, an essay for a class, a lab report, an email at work, anything. So as you can see already, the writing process is a very useful concept. It's a step, or I'm sorry, it's a process, but it's also a recursive process. That is, you don't go straight from the beginning to the end, but oftentimes you'll circle around through the different steps. Next, the writing process is a philosophy, a way of thinking about writing. So what this means is that when you think about writing, you'll think about focusing on these steps and what they mean to you in your own writing. Last, the writing process is basically habits that you have to cultivate in order to become an effective writer. So here's the key question. What are the steps? Most people have 4. Here's a common way you'll hear them described. So here they are, 1 through 4. We're going to learn about each one of them in turn. So let's start with the first. Pre-drafting is the part of the writing process before you even start writing something. It's where you know you have to do some writing. So in other words, you have some kind of writing scenario. Maybe it's an email at work. Maybe an essay in my class. Maybe a Christmas newsletter. Whatever it is, you know you have to write. So pre-drafting is when you get your thoughts together and you get ready to write. A common word you'll hear in this stage is brainstorming. So brainstorming activities are activities that help you get ready to write. The second step is drafting. Drafting is when you start the physical process of writing. You actually start writing, whether you're typing or writing by hand. So drafting. The third step is revising. Revising are big, major changes you make to your work. Maybe you're totally changing the organization. Maybe you're adding a new page, taking a page away. Maybe you're adding a new introduction, and so forth. Big changes. Oftentimes, people will go back and forth between these 2 steps. So this is a way that the writing process is recursive. Last is editing. Editing is when you're done with your big changes and you only have small changes left. And small changes can be things like your grammar, word choice, basically stuff that happens within an individual sentence, or what I call sentence level concerns. So you worry about this stuff at the very end of the writing process. Because if you're making a lot of big changes and doing more drafting, it's a waste of time to worry about stuff like your grammar and spelling at these 2 stages. So instead you save it for the 4th stage. So the 4th stage is where you polish up your writing so that it's clear, grammatically correct, meeting whatever conventions you're following, whatever. So the last stage. So again, let's put it all together. There you go. The 4 steps of the writing process. So here's a couple more comments about them. The way that you use the 4 steps is going to be a little bit different for everybody. For example, some people spend more time pre-drafting than doing other things. My wife, for example, she'll probably spend 75%, 80% of her time pre-drafting. She'll carefully think about her ideas and the connections between them and work out a really intense outline. Me, I'm different. I spend much more time drafting and revising. I know that there's only so much I can do at the pre-drafting stage, so for me it's better to just get started. And I jumped from pre-drafting into drafting pretty quickly. You might be different. The point is you have to figure out how these 4 steps work for you. I like to tell my students, the biggest goal that I have for you is for you to leave my class with a personalized sense of what your writing process is. So during the course, you'll get to know as we do different writing projects. And through each 4 steps, you'll be learning about different tools that you can use. Here's another name people will use for the 4 steps. So notice the difference between the 2 sets of lists. Change the names of the first 2. And I like this one. Finishing is a nice way of putting it, for example, for the last step. President Obama is the big fan of the writing process. You can see him there with one of his speeches. He and Mitt Romney are both known as obsessive revisers of their work. Even people who write writing books are known to use the writing process. Here's a picture from a writing textbook in the middle of the writing process. And Bart Simpson. Yes, Bart Simpson needs to become a fan of the writing process. There are 2 benefits here I want to show you guys on our last slide. The writing process improves your writing because oftentimes instead of just crossing your fingers, procrastinating, and writing a paper before it's due, the writing process enables you to follow things out with more steps, which means you'll do more with your work. And then last, oftentimes the writing process leads to discovery or new ideas. Sometimes your best ideas you might not get to if you don't do more than 1 draft of a paper. So I hope you can understand this concept. Again, it's a key foundational concept. And pay attention to see how I use it throughout the rest of the quarter. And again, my goal is for you to develop your own personalized writing process.